I'd like to call to order the Rutherford County School System regular meeting on January the 25th. I would like to welcome all of our visitors tonight, especially our principals and assistant principals out there. And Ms. Darby, yes, I did teach 2 of them.
At least 2 of them.
That's just them, not counting Kay Martin. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance, and Ms. Rosales has a special little presentation for us.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Bratton. I would like to ask Mr. Justin Smith to come up to the front to the podium and introduce our special guests today who are going to be leading our Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce 2 of our outstanding JRTC cadets, Cadet Major Paige Turner and Cadet Sergeant First Class Sheridan Balagoni.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, girls. Thank you, Mr. Smith. As we go to our moment of silence, we would like to extend our sympathy to the Hensley Baird family. Please remember them in your thoughts. Thank you. We will now move to number 4, the approval of the agenda. Do we have any questions, concerns, or comments from the board? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? The agenda is approved. We will now move to number 5, approval of the consent agenda. Are there questions or concerns? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? The consent agenda has been approved. I'm going to need water. We do not have any visitors tonight, is that correct? Then we will move to number 7, Rutherford Proud.
All right, so this is our Rutherford Proud for this board meeting session, and this is a recognition of our level 5 schools. So thank you to our multiple principals, and we have more principals here than we do not have schools recognized, and so that is a huge celebration. So just a little background, the Tennessee Department of Education really gives scores on achievement and growth. In our district, we talk about growth the most because growth is something that we control. We have a lot of students who move to us who were not with us the year previously, whether it's the city schools or just with our explosive growth in student enrollment. And so our expectation is that students grow each and every year they're with us. And so students need to achieve and grow from where they were the previous year to where they test the next year. And so that's truly what our expectation is. Level 3 is what the State Department of Education considers 1 year's progress. And so a level 4 is above expectations, and level 5 is significantly above expectations. And so we celebrate teachers, but a lot of times we don't celebrate our schools. And truly, when we are looking at level 5, that is a true school-wide recognition of the entire school, led by the principal, assistant principals, instructional coaches, teachers, support staff, everyone that has students' achievement and growth on the forefront. And so we're going to recognize 21-22 first. And so if you will just stand up when I call your school and stay standing for that time, and then we'll recognize 22-23 after that. The banners are in front of you, just so you can kind of see what they look like. With being 4 by 8, we would have an entire room full of banners with the number of schools that we would have up here, and it would block every inch of this room. So instead, we'll call your name to be recognized, and then we have all of your banners outside in the mail room, and then Mr. Evans is going to get a picture of everybody out front as well. And so this is a big celebration, something the State Department of Education usually does banners for, but we haven't received them in a little while, so we want to go ahead and make sure that everybody got recognized for their growth. So first, we will start with 2122, Blackman High School, led by Mr. Justin Smith. Browns Chapel Elementary, led by Ms. Kelly Goosetree. Buchanan Elementary by Ms. Ashley Witt. Cedar Grove Elementary by Ms. Paige George. Central Magnet School by Dr. John Ash. Christiana Middle School, Dr. Kyle Nix. Eagleville School, Mr. Tim Pedigo. John Coleman Elementary School, Ms. Christy Brown. Las Casas Elementary School, Mr. Randy Uptain. Oakland High School, Mr. John Marshall. Rockville High School, Mr. Steve Luker. Rockville Middle School, Dr. Kelly Newberry. Rocky Fork Middle School, Ms. Jennifer Clark. Siegel Middle School, Ms. Kim Stoker. Stewart's Creek Elementary School, Ms. Tina Turner. Stewart's Creek Middle School, Dr. Latony Murray. Stewartsboro Elementary School, Dr. Larissa Westerfield. Thurman Francis Arts Academy was Mr. Jeff McCann. And Whitworth Buchanan Middle School, Ms. April Sneed. And those are our 21-22 Level 5 schools, so congratulations to all of them. And this list is a little bit longer. So 22-23, Blackman High School. Blackman Middle School by Dr. Jessica Jackson, and if I've already called their name once, I'll just read the school name. Central Magnet School, Christiana Middle School, Eagleville School, Holloway High School by Ms. Sumatra Drayton, John Coleman Elementary School, Las Casas Elementary School, Oakland High School, Oakland Middle School by Mr. Brad Decker, Plainview Elementary School by Dr. Mark Gagne at that time, Rutherford County Virtual School, Dr. Jessica Supacon, Smyrna Elementary School, Ms. Vanessa Ritter, Smyrna Middle School, Dr. Takesha Ferguson, Smyrna Primary School, Mr. Jason Eaton, keeping on going down, Walter Hill Elementary School, Ms. Laura Heath, and then Wilson Elementary School, Ms. Angela Barnes. So those were our new ones. Now let me go back to the other ones. Stewart's Creek Elementary School, Stewart's Creek Middle School, Stewartsboro Elementary School, Thurman Francis Arts Academy, and Whitworth Buchanan Middle School. And so those were all 22-23 Level 5 schools. So congratulations to them. And before they leave, there's a couple I just want to recognize. A couple of these schools were Level 5 both years. So those schools were, and you don't have to stand, I'm just going to read them. Blackman High School, Central Magnet, Christiana Middle, Eagleville, John Coleman, Las Casas, Oakland High, Rockville High, Rockville Middle, Rocky Fork Middle, Siegel Middle, and I left you guys off the first time, I just realized that, sorry. Stewart's Creek Elementary, Stewart's Creek Middle, Stewartsboro, Thurman Francis, Whitworth were all Level 5 both years. So congratulations to all of them. You probably do need to take that one. They'll need it. Like a 2 or 3 minute recess.
Dr. Sullivan has requested we take a 3-minute recess while your pictures are being made. And I'm sure that you want to rush back in here to hear the rest of this. Okay. Call us back to order. Thank you so much. Do you think they're coming back in?
No.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, yes. No, they're not.
Does this count as their meeting?
It does. It sure does.
But they don't have to stay and listen to it. I like that.
That's a twofer.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Ms. Stoker. We appreciate that. We'll now move to number 8, guest speaker.
All right, so just as we did on Monday night, we have Dr. Ralston here with us, our special education coordinator, and special education department would like to highlight 2 very important programs in Rutherford County, Project Search, and then our Transition Academy. So I will turn it over to you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much for letting us speak tonight about 2 very near and dear to my heart programs that we have in Rutherford County, Transition Academy and Project Search. So tonight, we are blessed to have Daniel Kewell and Raven Cathy, who are 2 students at Transition Academy, and they are here to speak along with their teacher, Miss Autumn Shands, and we have the Project Search teacher, Miss Hannah Scott, here to speak to you.
Hey everybody, I'm Autumn Shands. So I'm the teacher at the Transition Academy. I have the best job in the whole entire world. I have the best students, and the Transition Academy is just an awesome program. So to kind of wrap it up, it's a dynamic program that allows adult students with disabilities the opportunity to grow in life skills, job skills, and inclusion in the community. But the main goal is to help my students become as independent as possible. And then there's some pictures of them because they're the best ever. Yeah, they're so good. And we can go to the next one if you want. Okay, so what it looks like is it's up to a 2-year program, and we take the students from each high school in the county that have graduated with a special ed diploma and return. So they're all adults, they're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and so we do those hands-on life skills. We cook lunch 3 times a week, we go grocery shopping, we go to juniors, and the students have to go by themselves and get the items on the grocery list. They bag their groceries, they come back and put the groceries up. They have bank accounts, so they have to keep up with their money and learn what a deposit and a withdrawal is. And we go out to eat and we learn, like, oh, in Tennessee, there's this thing called tax. And when you have a waitress, you have to tip your waitress. And we try to get them to be like smart spenders. So if you go out to eat, you could get a free water or you could get a $3 soda. So if we're saving up, we can kind of be like, do you want to save or do you want to spend? It's up to you. And we just do so many different things. We have like job-wise lessons, social groups, we make resumes, portfolios, everything. And we can go to the next one. And so just so you kind of know, every year at the beginning of the year, I complete a survey, my students complete a survey, and their parents complete a survey. And it's kind of just all the things that we're going to cover. And at the end of the year, they do it again to see where they've grown. And you can kind of see the blue is the beginning of the year, and then the orange is the end of the year. And you can see how much growth these students have. And so to talk about how much they grow and how amazing and wonderful they are, I have Raven Cathy, and I have Raven Cathy and Daniel, and they're both going to talk to you about the programs that they're going to do when they leave me, because this is their last year. So they're both going off to 2 different amazing programs, and I feel like they've learned a lot at the Transition Academy, so they'll tell you about that too. So we have Raven.
Hi everybody, my name is Raven, and from what I learned from Transition Academy is to learn how to cook and also to learn how to budget our money. And from next year, I will be going to Project Search to get a job. And now we have Daniel.
My name is Daniel. I have learned how to cook. I have learned how to budget my money. Future plans after the TA, I have been accepted into the Tennessee Reservation Center once I have leave the TA.
Hi, I'm Hannah Scott, and I'm going to be a massive letdown compared to that, but I'll give it a go. I am the Project Search teacher, and Project Search is a 1-year school-to-work program for young people with intellectual or developmental disabilities. So it is one of the things, along with the Transition Academy, that the students who have graduated with AAD diplomas can choose to do after high school. And the reason I'm very passionate about Project Search is it is a unique model of total workplace immersion, which is why I have no students with me, because they have no interest in school. They don't go to school, they go to work. So they would not come along to talk to you today. But we do it through a model that has internship rotation, partners with adult service providers, and does customized job search assistance by the end of the year. So it's a one-year program that by the end of the year, the goal is for them to be competitively employed. And so what the year looks like is interns work alongside their employees with and without disabilities in 3 10-week internships. They eat lunch in the break room and attend all workplace activities. They are expected to follow the rules of Embassy Suites, the Rutherford County attendance policy, and the work-based learning codes of conduct. And that is from August to May, and we really start in earnest in February, working with VR and Journeys in Community Living, who provides my job coach, to make sure that we are meeting their person-centered planning goals and getting them a job. And we do that through reverse job fairs, support to complete applications and interviews, as well as additional support as they transition into work. So, for example, one of my students from Oakland, he was very, very good at his internship, so the hotel went ahead and hired him. So he is working for money, but we are continuing to support him throughout the year as he transitions into work. So, like, we taught him how to get his bank account information off the internet and put it on his payroll information so that he could actually get paid through, direct deposit versus paper checks and things like that. So we are a long-term support for students to get those jobs, those competitive jobs. And competitive employment is kind of a weird term. And so for Project Search, it means employment in an integrated setting with non-disabled peers. It means year-round work. It means at least 16 hours a week, and that they are paid the same rate as other employees that are not disabled. Project Search National considers 70% or above excellent employment outcomes. Murfreesboro Project Search has won this award several times, including the last 3 years consecutively. One more. And then I'm not going to read all these off, but these are just some of the businesses that have hired our students from Project Search. So just a lot of places in Murfreesboro have Project Search interns now working for real money, and I think that's awesome.
Seeing me, they look way better than I do. Any questions about Project Search or Transition Academy? Ms. Maxwell, do you have any questions?
I am just thrilled to see them come and present tonight and share what they do, because I knew about it, but I don't think everybody else knew about it. And I'm glad that the last couple of years we've really brought it out in the open and we've talked about it more. And I am determined to get some more sites for Transition Academy, because the county has grown, but the program hasn't been able to grow as fast as the county. So.
Absolutely. Stop by Project Search, Transition Academy anytime. They will be your happy place, for sure.
I want to say something really fast. So I hope everyone, last year was the first year that I actually went to the graduation for Transition Academy, and I believe David had a talent. You were in the talent show, which you were singing, I believe. Mm-hmm. So I remember that. So I was thinking, I know that guy from somewhere. So when you started talking, I put 2 and 2 together. So I highly encourage all the school board members and the administration, the central office, to come to the graduation and see it, because it's pretty powerful and amazing. The testimonies will get to you a little bit at your heart. And we got to take a tour, and thank you so much for the tour that you guys gave us. But this is something that we should be looking into and trying to see how we can prepare ourselves for long-term solutions. So I highly encourage the school board to come and support the Transition Academy when they have the graduation this year in the springtime. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
I just wanted to say, Raven, I'm sorry I did not know you, but Daniel, is this your last year with us? Yes. I've known Daniel through a colleague and a friend for, I guess, the last 6 or 7 years, so we will miss you and we wish you the best of luck.
I will miss you too. Yeah. Thank you, Daniel.
And yes, I taught him.
Yeah.
I had to jump that in.
Anyone else? Thank you so very much. Autumn, you cheered, right? You were a cheerleader, right? I cannot believe that.
Really?
Some school missed a great all I've got to say. Thank you so much. That'll be just fine. Step out and get your picture.
Ms. Braden.
Yes.
We had someone as well that earlier had one of our other obligations serving as part of we have aspiring administrators going on across the street right now for people that want to be assistant principals, and we have, I know she was here, where did Ms. Ritter go? Oh, so we have
She is
Vanessa
right there.
Ritter, who,
Yeah.
now that she was done with all the things we need her to do for our other part of our district operating, she is the principal at Smyrna Elementary School, and she was not here to be recognized, so they are a level 5 school as well, so congratulations, Ms. Ritter.
Next, board meeting. Dr. Chastain.
Yep. Now we have Dr. Kelly Chastain, our Chief Academic Officer, will update you on third grade retention laws and issues right now with Tennessee Department of Education for this year's fourth graders. We're continuing to have a lack of communication expectations, so I will tell you are you going to go over the flow chart that's online right now? No. Okay, there's a flow chart online right now that is, I checked with the department today. That is not accurate, and so if you go to the department's website and look at the flow chart, it is not accurate, and so we're working to get that corrected. So, but I will turn it over to you, Dr. Chastain.
Nothing like bringing the meeting down. Hope everybody enjoyed all that fun we just had. I'll try to keep this brief and then give some time for questions, as you probably have some. But just as a quick recap, this is regarding TCA 49-6-3115, which is what we commonly refer to as the third grade retention law. So last year was the first year of implementation that we saw at any real scale in Tennessee. So for last year, 2023 third graders, our district ended up retaining just under 1% of our students. So that equated to about 17 students. That is a low number, but I think that's a low number we should be really proud of. So don't look at that number as thinking somehow the law was misappropriated in some way. That is sheer hard work by our principals and teachers. One other thing I want to make sure we reiterate is that any critique is based on the measure and the process, and in no way directed at the goal of all of our third graders being able to read. I think that is something that we all hold extremely important. We just have some issues with the measure and the process. So this year, we have approximately 40% of our third graders that exited last year were promoted via one of the promotion pathways, which is where this flow chart comes in handy if easy to read and correct. So the flow chart itself kind of goes through those promotion pathways. The ones that will be familiar to you are, was the parent able to appeal? Did we have a tutoring plan in place? Did the child go to summer camp and attend at 90%? Those were the promotion pathways available to us, and we utilized all of those promotion pathways. The part that now gets a little tricky, we managed through all that by, again, sheer hard work by our principals and APs and instructional coaches, and now we get to our current fourth graders. So our current fourth graders, we have 285 fourth graders that were promoted via one of those promotion pathways. If they were approaching, they were promoted via the tutoring pathway. So they attended either a summer camp or are in tutoring this year. Or if they were below, they were promoted based on summer camp and tutoring. So these 285 students, I want to make sure everybody understands, have done everything that has been asked of them. They are students that have taken advantage of summer camp. They are students that are taking advantage of tutoring. We are doing everything possible within our district to give them the services they need to make sure that they are an appropriate reader as determined by the current law in Tennessee. Of those 285 students, when we talk about them being at risk of retention, this is due to a second part of the law that has not really been addressed at any great length until recently. So based on that second part of the law, those students that were promoted via those pathways are at risk of retention if they don't meet adequate growth. The term adequate growth has not yet been defined by the State Board of Education. So the State Board of Education meets on February 15th for their work session to clarify and put into place the rule that will determine what adequate growth means for these 285 students in our district. So we're a little late in the game. So without that rule in place, it's very, very difficult to communicate something that is of obvious concern to our parents. One of our approaches has been to try to communicate what we consider at risk based on the universal screener. So all of our third graders received their universal screener reports before winter break. These 285 fourth graders also received their screener results at that same time, with some added, they're doing everything they can, check in with their teacher, they have benchmark results, they have screener results. The important thing is to make sure that they are getting the instruction from their teachers every day. But we haven't done a full-scale communication effort yet because we don't know what the rule is. But I have 2 sheets of paper that are in front of you that I will explain what the the Department of Education is putting forth to the State Board as the rule. You ready? Let's start with this one. Okay, so the one that has a mathematical formula on it. I want to clarify that the problem with this mathematical formula isn't that the math is difficult, it's that the numbers that go into this formula are very abstract and many of them are in the future. So the adequate growth formula that the state is saying we should use is based on the probability of a student being proficient on their 10th grade ELA EOC. So over the next 8 years, the state has decided that the appropriate measure to determine whether a fourth grader is retained is to take where they are currently as a third grader, or now a fourth grader, where they currently are as a fourth grader, how far they are from projected proficiency based on a probability component of their 10th grade EOC. So how likely are they to be proficient on their 10th grade ELA EOC, which is 8 years in the future. They then divide that by 8 and give you a number that equals adequate growth. Adequate growth then is defined as adequate growth, or the number that a child must then meet to be considered at a higher percent or projection of probability to be proficient on the 5th grade ELA TCAP. So the problem with the number isn't that it doesn't make mathematical, sense. It's not mathematically incorrect. It's that we won't have those projected proficiencies or probabilities. Typically, we don't get those till July or August. And again, that probability will be based on how probable or likely they are to be proficient on the 5th grade ELA TCAP. So in trying to communicate that with the parent, you have the formula in front of you, and on the bottom I put the note: a student with a lower probability of proficiency on the 5th grade ELA TCAP will have a higher adequate growth target. So if you are lower on the end of performance, your target will be much higher because that's divided over 8 years, okay? And again, this is based on the proficiency, the likelihood of proficiency in 10th grade. So this is our best effort right now on how we will explain this to the community if that rule goes into place on February 15th. If anybody has any power in this area, I would highly recommend that this not be what we try to communicate to parents on February 16th, but that's just my aside. So here is a sample student. This sample student in 3rd grade did not meet proficiency. They were promoted through a tutoring pathway. So again, remember, this kid has done everything that's been asked of them. They are not exempt for any reason. They have gone to tutoring. They are now in 4th grade. In 4th grade, they are currently in the tutoring program. They must meet that adequate growth target. So here we go. Probability of being proficient on 4th grade TCAP, which we currently have that number. So for all students, we know what their probability of being proficient on 4th grade TCAP is. So in this sample, let's say it's 30%. They have a 30% probability of being proficient on that ELA TCAP. Our goal is to reduce the gap between proficiency cut, determined to be at 50%, and the current measure over the next 8 years. So 50 minus 30 divided by 8 gives us a 2.5. Since the fourth grade probability estimate was 30%, student A must show a 32.5% probability, which is the 30% plus 2.5. So they must show 32.5% or greater probability of being proficient on the fifth grade ELA TCAP to be promoted to the fifth grade. Again, we'll do our best at communicating this however it comes down on February 16th, and we are ready. James's team, we've met. Elizabeth Davis, our learning loss supervisor, now we call it a extended learning supervisor because it includes so many things. Our team has met. We have a plan for if this goes in place. But this is extremely difficult and nerve-wracking for parents, especially when we do not have any idea what the probability for the fifth grade TCAP will look like and how there's no correlation to universal screener or any kind of benchmark we give between now and then. So that is of concern. I'll take any questions that you might have.
Yeah, I have a question.
Bratton.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to ask Ms. Bratton.
Ms. Darby.
Am I understanding correctly that, well, two questions. The first question is, if they get to a point where they start scoring proficiently, do they at some point kind of fall out of this perpetual?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. So any student that scores proficiently regardless of how they were last year, so a fourth grader that is at proficiency level this year automatically is promoted. The state has also made it clear in the most recent hearing with the Senate Education Committee, they've also made it clear that they're not interested in having a fifth grade pathway, a sixth grade pathway, a seventh. So this is kind of where it ends in terms of this.
And just to make sure I'm understanding, this also does not take into account, because we're basically expecting them to only grow this every single year the way this is proposed. So
Correct.
my child, for instance, was terrible at math until fifth grade. He had a great teacher, something clicked for him. He all of a sudden started doing so much better. So we're not really giving them any credit for maturing and growing and being able to, at some point, have a much larger growth one year versus another. They're wanting to just
Correct.
guesstimate, basically.
They are wanting to put a mathematical formula that is something that's much more nuanced. I think our district would love the opportunity to have conferences between principals and parents and decide, is this student meeting the expectations that we have in terms of grade level standards and doing everything they can and showing growth in what they do every day? Can we allow a promotion pathway based on what's happening in the school, and the parent can be part of that conversation?
I just want to make sure I
You understand?
that correctly. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Rosales.
Thank you, sorry. Dr. Chastain, can you explain again how probability of being proficient in fourth grade TCAP calculated? I don't understand that piece. So how is that percentage even, I know you said, but
This is a formula that was created by TDOE some years back to go, when we talk about our AMOs and other adequate growth measures, and they want to apply this to fourth grade. So this is, again, it's just a mathematical calculation on a probability of proficiency based on what psychometricians deem to be mathematically appropriate, taking the entire state's population. And if at any point I misspeak and I later realize that, I will make sure to clarify the record. But the probability of proficiency is based on that population and the success of those students across thousands and thousands of tests and over many years. So probabilities of proficiency based on past performance, they take several years into account. Where are they hitting, and then where are they likely to hit based on statistics? And that's what equates to this adequate growth model, where it takes it over 8 years.
so this is a score for every child?
Every child gets every child will have an adequate growth target based on what TDOE is proposing. Any child that was below or approaching and promoted via tutoring or summer camp pathway is required to hit this adequate growth target in order to be promoted to fifth grade. And yes, every child is able to have a target no matter where they are. It's just it won't be utilized for students that are proficient.
Yeah, so I guess my question, is it going to be fluctuating?
The number,
That's what I'm trying to understand.
the target itself would not fluctuate this year because every kid will have a target for this year. but it very likely will fluctuate depending on how they do this year, because then it will be calculated over. If you were to take this and say, we're going to continue with this approach for the next 8 years, it would adjust each year based on the current scores.
Okay, so my other question is, was this piece an introduction the last General Assembly? This was introduced because...
So this is within the law, and it is in, so under the law, third grade gets the bulk of the language. On item 3, so on 3, it talks about a student who is promoted to 4th grade pursuant to subdivision, and it gives those tutoring pathways and the summer camp pathway, so it clarifies that, must show adequate growth on the 4th grade ELA portion on the TCAP as determined by the department. So that's the part that we're waiting, is what they have an option in terms of how they determine adequate growth. That can look a number of ways. I would argue that there are probably much clearer ways to apply the term adequate growth in a way that parents, and I mean, we want parents to help us meet these targets. And this is just a number that's really scary, and there's not a whole lot of direct action.
Yeah, so then my other question, and this is not fault to you guys at all whatsoever. So when the students and the parents were going through this phase of trying to figure out, because I will tell you, I got a lot of calls when it came down to this. I think during the summer, I worked with you a lot about it because of all the issues that happened right at the end of the school year. Did the state give you guys direction about telling the parents that even though they go through those pathways, there is still a probability that they could be still held back that 4th year because of this adequate growth?
The state has, I mean, we use the law, so the state has given very little, and I think in the commissioner's own language, she assumes that this is our job. So there's been no communication or assistance from the state in terms of how we are supposed to or expected to communicate this to parents.
Okay, and then that is good to hear that there was absolutely no communication from the Department of Education. And then the other thing is that the Department of Education is just now talking to you guys, the LEAs, well, the district.
Have you gotten any communication, Dr. Sullivan? I haven't gotten any
Zero
communication. I've got a flow chart. So this flow chart that's on the website, and again, we are all about kids reading. This is a problem with the process. The flow chart, I think, when I interpret this, and this is the part that gets a little worrisome for us when we're dealing with our parents, it looks as if any kid, it's just, I'm not even going to speak to that because I don't want to cause confusion. But there is literature and graphics on the state website that have recently been put up to try to clarify what that 4th grade promotion pathway is. It's just that there have been several iterations since the Senate hearing, and it's incorrect.
Yeah.
So if that counts as communication, there's been communication.
So this is a big, big problem because the lack of communication has been an ongoing issue with the department, not right now, like what we're hearing. It's been an ongoing issue. And I'm trying to be really careful how I say things right now, but this is totally unacceptable by the Department of Education. We have parents who are trying to do the very best to get their children to the next level. We have schools who are scrambling around to try to figure out what to do with in cases of lack of communication is not due to lack of communication. It is totally unfair to have schools scramble to figure this stuff out when they're giving no direction by the State Department, and on top of it, that is due to a legislation. It is a law, it is mandatory, and it is expected. So this is totally unacceptable. And I will challenge every single one of us here as a school board member to pick up the daggone phone and tell them this is unacceptable. Why am I saying this? Because I've gotten those phone calls from the parents, and I know the frustration, and I've seen the frustration from everyone. Totally unacceptable. And that's what I'm going to say.
We're depending on you to get up there and take care of this.
I have spoken with them. I've had conversations at 5 o'clock in the morning.
But you didn't know about this part.
This
This
is
is new.
unacceptable.
Right, this is new.
Totally unacceptable by the Department of Education.
Ms. Sharp?
Thank you. And I don't want to come off sounding flippant, but this is putting our teachers and our staff in a position of predicting like Nostradamus or being meteorologists.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, what it does, that's why I said I don't want to come off sounding flippant.
That's a good connection.
But our teachers want to help these kids. These kids want to do this. This is like a moving target that the bullseye, it just keeps moving and moving and moving. And they want to get their work done, they want to get out of school, and they want to go on with their lives. And I've already talked about this, they already have testing fatigue. And so they get to the point where they don't really care about this, and you can't blame them because we're over-testing them. And it's like, oh, now I have to do this? This is just, it's craziness. This is worse than the BEP formula. And I think it needs to be, this doesn't have to be like this. This is my 6th year on the school board. We have never had someone in the Department of Education that has helped us. I've not had one teacher come to me and say, Tammy, the Department of Education helped me with this or helped me with that. We could do away with the Department of Education and still function as a school system across the state of Tennessee. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Ms. Darby?
Dr. Chastain, can I ask your opinion? Like, what are your thoughts on what you would like to see?
That's a good question.
What I would like to see is a different measure to measure reading. The third grade ELA TCAP is not an appropriate proxy for what they consider to be reading, a reading test. And then I would really love if they would trust our teachers and our principals to make the decisions that are best for the kids.
Can I ask if you think it would be better to almost say if a student is showing X% of growth since they're tutoring over the 4th grade year, were acceptable as they're maintaining that growth rate? Or is that even still too, I'm just curious.
And let me back up and say, I don't just want people to blindly trust us. That's not what, I think there are, as professionals, we have many things in place that are valid measurements of that trust is earned. You know, we have the universal screeners in place. We also have been an early adopter to Tennessee All-Core and the tutoring and the summer camps and all the possible preventative measures that I think we could all agree are really important. I would love if we would invest in, if there's really a goal to have all 3rd graders proficient in this, whatever, let's get a real measure of what reading is, and let's go back from there. Our teachers will hit that mark. It's just a matter of letting them know exactly what it is that we're expecting them to do. Right now, it's this kind of black box ELA TCAP test that doesn't equate to reading. So that, if that is our goal, we could back up, and if we gave teachers clear direction on exactly what is expected and put the money in programs for students and resources and training for our teachers, I think you could see everything you wanted to see, and there wouldn't be retention, and there wouldn't be this punitive measure that's terrifying to parents. I think you could actually get everybody working together for the sake of the kid.
Ms. Bratton.
Yes, Ms. Maxwell?
My head's spinning, and this is hooey. We did everything that they asked them to do. Our parents did it. They did the tutoring. They went to the summer school. You can't tell me that they didn't show growth. They did. There's no way you could do all that and not show some measure of growth. But to put these arbitrary try to determine how they're going to be in the 10th grade, just like Miss Darby. My kids were terrible in math. But somewhere on middle school, they kind of got better, and the light went on. They thought it was fun. It has nothing to do with this goop. And I am so sorry for our parents and for our students, and they need to get their act together because this is just ridiculous.
Dr. Sullivan?
Yeah, Mr. Young.
Mr. Young?
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate everything that's been said here. I don't want us to reinvent the wheel, but if there is a school district out there anywhere in this world that knows how to handle this, let's look at what they're doing and see what we can do to get our legislators on board to fix this problem. This is a problem, and we need a resolution. So if we could find something to bring to the board, I'd be willing to pass it on to our legislators and challenge them to fix this problem.
I want something. You want, oh, Ms. Sharp?
I think when they're having discussions that, and I know she doesn't like this, and I'm putting her on the spot, and I apologize, but I think Dr. Chastain is brilliant. She's one of the smartest that we have. I don't want to start throwing out names because I'll probably forget somebody, but I think when we had Chairman White and Chairman Sapicki here before, there was a lot of really, really good discussion, and I think we need to get Dr. Chastain back in front of them and probably in front of our legislators and say, what are we doing here?
Agree.
So, Ms.
Rosales.
Thank you. So I agree we need to bring them before, but here's the problem. We have, I'm not going to get into details and specifics, but Dr. Chastain has been in front of a lawmaker. She has. I was there. We've talked to him. We told him. I have called the governor's office and spoke with someone up there who's one of his top advisor and told him the issues that have been going on. So us communicating to him and telling them what's going on, that is going on by this county is doing that. The problem is that it's falling on deaf ears. That's the problem. They've already made up their minds. They know what they're going to decide, and that's what they're running. So we can say whatever we want, what we need to say, spell it out for them till the cows come home, turn our faces blue in the face because of how much we're talking, and the change will not happen. It is time for these lawmakers and those who are on the decision-making in the department to hear us and to listen. It is time because the frustration is already here, and it's not going to go away anytime soon, and it's going to get worse because there's already legislation that is happening right now for math. They're looking at math right now. So they are not listening, and that's a problem. We've got to get them to listen to us, and it's time that we raise our voices and start calling our lawmakers and filling up the phone lines and emailing them and tell them what is acceptable and not acceptable. If they're going to have a law and they have this expectation and be mandatory, they need to be more specific with details. If they're counting on the Department of Education to come up with the rules, they've got to have deadlines. And those deadlines, they better hit those targets because it's absolutely not fair that the schools end up scrambling. And that's the problem. It ends up the schools having to carry the burden of all these things because the details are not there and they're not taking the time to give in clear direction of what to do and how to do it and how to execute it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Tidwell?
Well, I have a third grader this year, so I'm very interested in seeing how all this plays out for myself as well. I don't think anybody, if there's any legislators watching, I don't think anybody here is saying that we don't want to follow the rules. We want to follow the rules. Just show us what the targets are. And as I understand, I think you said that we don't get the probability until July. I mean, how are we able to backtrack that?
So I was, if you don't mind.
No, go
So
ahead.
that was going to be one of my concerns. So we had a director of schools meeting for our mid-Cumberland area the Friday before Snowmageddon. And so that was one of our concerns is, the kids look forward to coming to school, getting their report card saying they're promoted to the next grade. We won't know that till the end of July until we get these statistics back. And that has a kid aspect to it, of course, but it also has a logistic aspect to it of scheduling, hiring teachers, all kinds of moving pieces that are definitely a concern. So,
Anyone else?
can I add one thing?
You certainly may.
So only other things, and I think Mr. Rosales, you're spot on. One of the issues that is going to be, I think everybody echoed it, was that this will definitely fall to districts. And so the PR nightmare that is going to be, it's not going to fall on the Department of Education. It's going to fall on local schools and local districts that look like we don't know what we're doing. And that is my biggest frustration, and that's where parents are going to get frustrated. And we're trying to do everything we can. Second is that I think somebody else hit on it, this is department created. The legislature passed a law and gave the department the power to do this, and this is what the department has chosen to do. And so I don't even necessarily think it's the fault of the General Assembly. They gave the power to the department, and that's what they chose. I just checked just to make sure. So this state rule is supposed to be read again on February 15th. We get a commissioner's update for directors of schools every Thursday. Adequate growth in fourth grade or third grade is not mentioned in this week's commissioner's update. You can learn everything you want to about letter grades on here, of course, but there's nothing on here about what is impacting tens of thousands of kids across the state. You were just Debbie Downer, Dr. Chastain.
Thank you, though, Dr. Chastain. We do appreciate everything that you do and the department does. Y'all do a fabulous job. Number 9, safety.
So tab 2, talked with Ms. Easter just a little while ago. We're going to, in talking with Barry Hendrickson, leave this as is, and then the Tinsrow conference was going to be their other request, and that'll be on the next board meeting. And so that we can have this as the national request, and then they'd like to send some SROs to the Tennessee version, and we will have that on next board meeting. Because the request was asked to have more go. So, safety tab 2, Captain Barry Hendrickson has requested to send at least 10 SROs to attend the 2024 NASRO School Safety Conference in Phoenix, Arizona. Conference is expected to provide valuable insights and training that will enhance the effectiveness of our SROs in ensuring the safety and well-being of our school community. Cost is $20,768, which includes conference costs, lodging, airfare, and food. Rutherford County has been awarded a state-funded fiscal year 23-24 public school security grant. The money is designated for safety expenditures, and the proposal is to utilize this funding to cover costs associated with the training conference. Recommended motion to approve the use of the state-funded 23-24 public school safety grant, allocating $20,768 to cover the expenses related to the 2024 NASRO School Safety Conference in Phoenix, Arizona.
Questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
do we have a good feel for what they're going to be obtaining at this conference? Will they be coming back and doing on-hands training at our schools?
Yes, it's hopefully part of our August Safety Day. We've got some other plans for that August Safety Day too, but that I'm really excited about.
And if we're going to send 20 people, they can share information and come up with a good plan for everyone to hear the same thing. Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? The motion passes. Number,
Ms. Bratton?
yes?
Thank you. I just want to say to the board, thank you so much for voting for this, because Captain Barry had approached me about this, and he's been wanting to get our SROs. So it's really glad that we are able to do this for them. So thank you so much, and it sounds like we're going to be doing other things for them. So thank you so much.
Yes. Number 10, legal.
First, we have out-of-county transfer, and this is labeled as number 1. The board's been requested to admit a transfer student from another school system under discipline. The student was expelled for consumption and distribution of illegal drugs on school grounds. According to policy 6.318, the board may deny admissions of any student, except those in state custody, when a student transfers from another school system while under suspension or expulsion. Director of Schools' recommendation is to deny admission. Your motion, though, you can admit or deny the admission of this out-of-county transfer student.
Are there any questions that can be asked? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to deny admission.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? We have denied admission. Next.
We have out-of-county transfer student 2. The board has been requested to admit a transfer student from another school system under discipline. Student is remanded for excessive discipline infractions. According to policy 6.318, the board may deny admissions of any student except those in state custody when a student transfers from another school system while under suspension or expulsion. Director of Schools' recommendation in this case is to admit and place at alternative school, and that's based on the discipline that they received at the other school district. However, the board may take any motion that they wish to admit or deny the admission of this out-of-county transfer student.
Questions?
Ms. Bratton?
Ms. Darby?
Do we have space, Dr. Sullivan?
We do.
Thank you.
It's a good question. Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to admit and place at the alternative school.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Do I have anyone abstaining? We will admit and place at the alternative school. Number 11, the resolution.
So we read this on Monday night, just for viewers so they'll be aware. We have 2 charter schools there that we have authorized, and the Tennessee Public Charter Schools Act, which is Tennessee Code Annotated 4913-101, and then the TISA funding. There's a little bit of a disconnect on when districts receive funding. Charter schools receive funding as they begin, and districts receive funding a year after student enrollment. So this resolution just asks to bring those timelines together.
Questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? We have approved the resolution. Number 12, financial matters.
So these 2 are just reallocations. We did these Monday night. We had an updated Fund 189 sheet sent to us. The Health and Education Department or Committee for the County Commission has already approved these. If for some reason the board chose not to approve these, they just would not be forwarded on to the Budget Committee. And so I know that's a little unique in that they passed them first and we're coming back and doing it again, but it just wouldn't go forward. So the first one is Fund 189 reallocation, 814 South Church Street. Request to reallocate all remaining funds from 189 Rockville Middle School, $983,133. Smyrna Middle, $1,149,573, and Stewart's Creek Middle, $329,250 to Church Street property. And the recommended motions to approve the reallocation of Fund 189 is presented.
Questions or concerns?
Ms. Bratton?
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to thank Health and Ed for passing this for us. There was a lot of discussion about this on Monday, and this is kind of the hope that we had asked of them. If we can move a little bit their direction, they'd move a little bit ours, and that was respected. So I just want to get that out there.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? We have approved the reallocation of Fund 189. Next.
Next is same thing, Roy Waldron Annex renovation, formerly Laverne Primary. Request to reallocate remaining funds from Fund 189 Rockville Elementary, $1,450,269, and a future middle school of $925,769 to Roy Waldron Annex renovation. Recommended motions to approve the reallocation of Fund 189 is presented. I did mention to Health and Ed that these are estimates. Once we get actual bids back, we may have to reallocate a little bit further, but this gets us moving.
Questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Anyone wishing to abstain? We have approved the reallocation of Fund 189 as presented.
Insurance.
Insurance.
So just a quick thing, teachers received their, and all staff really received their first paychecks with the new insurance rates, and we had a lot of conversation in September about what rates should be and shouldn't be. I think, Mr. Young, you were very adamant to make sure we passed as little on to our teachers as possible, and so just noticing my own paycheck was about $100 more. It could have been a whole lot more, so I do appreciate you bringing that up and advocating for that, because that could have been a mistake that we didn't need to go down, especially if we had the funding. So,
thank you. I appreciate that. Anyone else?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of that, is there some money left over back in county general where our employees paid in to insurance?
depends on whose opinion you ask. We say yes. County finance says differently.
So how do we challenge them?
I think we would need to go to executive session on that with Mr. Reed the next time.
We will look at that at the next meeting, executive session, okay, Mr.
I just want to
Young?
make sure if we've got money over there, we need to make sure that money comes back home and we use it the proper way.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Good catch. Financial report.
We discussed all of that on Monday. We'll have new, we received a new TN Edu funding today, so we talked about it. I guess at the last board meeting, so we received about an extra $3 million in fast growth funds that we were not expecting. We got a new TN Edu funding yesterday that we received about another $380,000 for outcome that we weren't expecting. How much longer will this ebb and flow of money coming, not coming from the State Department last? I have absolutely no idea, but we aren't going to move any new amendments or anything until we actually know a little bit more of is this money coming or not coming. But looks like we've received a little bit more than about $3.5 million than we expected over the last month. But I'm not confident it's real yet. So
Have we seen it?
yes, we have seen it.
Oh, wow.
But they can always go back and
Take it back.
take it back. Yes,
There
they
you
can at the end of the year. So
Problem with electronics.
that's the
Yes,
problem.
yeah.
I don't think that'll happen, but I want to get a little bit further.
I don't blame you. Director's update?
So first, we have our job fair coming up February 24th, is that right? So February 24th, you guys will see at the next board meeting a request to go ahead and start requesting possible growth positions that we know we have to have, for example, ESL positions. It'll all be pending final budget approval, but if we wait until July to post those positions, we won't have anybody apply. And so you'll see that request that'll be pending final budget approval. The only positions we're looking at doing right now are ones that we have to have for staffing ratios to meet those. So just wanted to throw that out there. Second, this is School Board Appreciation Week, so I appreciate all of you. We definitely have some unique and spirited conversations sometimes, but that's what makes it good, and it's not just a rubber stamp of everything that we need for the district. We have good conversations, and I'm blessed to serve alongside each of you, and I also want to thank our schools because they did an absolute amazing job of providing things for School Board Appreciation Week. So thank you guys for that, and we'll tweet a picture out or something of all the things that they provided for our school board. It is
Good.
phenomenal.
Yes. It's really unbelievable for those of you who did come back to stay, and I want to compliment you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't know which one I was most thrilled about, what's in the hall or just seeing all of you out there. It's wonderful for you to be here, and we do appreciate you very, very much. Ms. Rosales?
Yes, so there is a lot that's been going on in the state right now. We had quite a bit of resolutions that the board passed, and some of them are making its way into the General Assembly. The definitely yes that have been filed are the bill for the safety, requiring the safety training for substitute teachers, the stiff penalty for students who do bomb threats or things of that type of nature, that the punishment is going to be a felony now. It will be considered that. The other bill that wasn't a resolution, but was a bill that came out of the conversation that we had with the department, Dr. Chastain, and our Rutherford County delegation about making a huge change in regards, funny enough, we're talking about adequate growth for those students, the third graders that are going to the summer camp, and trying to remove one of those testing because truly it's not necessary, it's not really used for anything. So it's just an unnecessary extra test that they're using. So that is going to be carried forward to kind of remove that. So, so that's a good win. Another one that we are still in the process of still shaping it and crafting it is the resolutions that have to do with the TISA. One is the fast growth stipends for the students and the money and that allocation to kind of fatten that up a little bit, and for the fast growth stipends for infrastructure to not be together in one money pot, but to be separated out. And since these are, all of it is part of the TISA, we're tacking on the resolution that you just passed about the charter schools getting the money immediately versus compared to a new school that is starting that year. We will not see those funds until the following year. So we're trying to make a difference, change change the enrollment and the enrollment analysis, not enrollment analysis. We're trying to change how we get funding for new schools, that we want the money right away, just like similar to if it were at a charter school. So those are the things that have been worked on. The deadline to file these things are January 31st. So I shall know even more about the other bills. I'm seeing a lot of bills trickle in right now. And so we shall see. It's going to be a fun year, another fun time.
I disagree.
Bet you can't wait.
I'm being,
Yeah.
I'm just being a little bit silly right now.
You're frustrated, aren't you,
We
Ms.
need some
Rosales?
laughter right now, so I'm just being silly.
General discussion? Yes, sir.
First, I'd like to thank you to all of our principals and leadership in the schools that have showered us with gifts that we don't deserve. We appreciate you guys more than you could ever possibly appreciate us. So we thank you for what you're doing. And it's timely that we had this celebration of our reward schools tonight.
Yes.
On School Board Appreciation Week. So we appreciate you guys more than you'll know. But Dr. Sullivan, I want to ask a quick question. I know that on the teacher shortages, we had made tremendous ground from the previous year, and we had checked in, I think, again in October to see where it's at. Where are we at now? You talked about the job fair.
Yeah, I can get you an update. Right now, I will tell you, if we were to grant growth positions, schools for the most part would rather hold out with what they have and focus on next year, but I'll give you an update on number of positions we have currently open. A lot we have right now is still special education, and then maternity leaves. Trying to find those interim positions are a struggle always.
Yes, Brett, I do have some good news. I'm very excited about this fair. I know of at least 2, possibly 3 that are returning back to us, and 2 of them want to go into SPED.
Ooh. Anyone else?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Going back to this ending fund balance, Dr. Sullivan, if you and Brian could look at that and see what it would do if we did take that down to 10% versus the 15%, and also consider if we could get this resolution passed, what kind of impact that would have on that ending fund balance. I really don't want to give the city any money. That's the bottom line. But I mean, if we have to, we have to. But I'd like for us to exhaust all options before we do that.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to bring back Jazz Fest again, April 27th, and we're still looking for sponsors. Everyone has returned. It's going to be a great event. It's back at the fountains. I did talk to someone today at lunch and asked them that it was, if they just wanted to make a really big donation, that $30,000 would underwrite the whole program. But this is someone who is benevolent, and they spent a whole lot more commas in our district before. So this is small, but also. I've gotten a couple phone calls, and I'm sure maybe some other people have, about our oppositions to vouchers. And you're welcome to call me and ask me. I have studied vouchers way before I even thought about going on the school board, which I was elected in 2018, so it was probably 2011, 2012. I started studying vouchers, and one of the things that I go back to is we don't have any failing schools here in Rutherford County. We're busting at the seams. The private schools are busting at the seams. All of the charter schools that have been approved, they have wait lists, I'm hearing, in the thousands. And we don't need them here. We need to keep public money in the public schools. So I say all that to say, if anybody has any questions, I've had a couple people reach out, please reach out to me. Don't be mad at us and be saying stuff on Facebook about, our oppositions to them. Call us and ask us, because we do our due diligence on these items. So, but I'd like
Ms. Sharp's number is no.
Yeah. Hey, it's out. I mean, you can find it. I mean, everybody.
It's there.
I'll be like Mike Sparks and let me give my phone number out. So, if you need it, I will certainly give it to you. And it used to be on the website, but it's just something that we don't need. And if you look at some of the other states that adopted the voucher systems, Florida, Indiana, their education budget expanded exponentially, and it didn't make education any better. So I think if everybody who is in opposition to it, would send a nice friendly email to their representatives and maybe some of the other ones, and they see, because there's a lot of people, even the Republicans like myself, who that's like a platform issue, that we are against this. So reach out to our legislatures about that. I think if we can kind of squelch it this year, it may not be a problem going forward for the next 3 years. Now, if we have someone else that comes in, we will, because Lee's turned out. But we just need to get to education. We need to stick to our wheelhouse and educate these kids.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I concur with Ms. Sharp.
I think we all concur with Ms. Sharp. Anyone else? Mr. Evans, am I correct in saying that we need to meet immediately after the meeting for the picture that you were talking about?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Lisa Kay is back here. Raise your hand, Lisa. Want to stand up for everybody? I'm just joking. I'm really stalling because it's okay. But yes, we're gonna meet after
What's
the meeting
that?
to take photos.
We're going to meet here or where
Wherever Ms. Kay would
where
like
does
to
she
meet.
want us to be? Okay, that will be
And
fine.
who is participating?
I think all of us.
All of us are participating, I think. Anything else you need to stall on there, Mr.? Okay.
Make sure.
Ms. Darby?
Move to adjourn.
Ms. Maxwell? We are adjourned.